We are back in the bearded garage. We are doing a quick maintenance on KX033-4. It's a 2021. Today we're gonna do the final drive. You gotta change this final drive oil. Now, manual says, I believe specification is you change it at the first 50 hours and then every 500 hours after that. However, when you talk about these that are used, the most expensive part is, I think this unit is about $3,500 per side. So when guys don't do this job, you could buy a great looking machine, except for the dent right there. Great looking machine that won't run for shit or needs $7,000 worth of repair. So I try to do the gear oil in here about every 100 hours. It's really not expensive. It takes less than a quart and takes 10 or 15 minutes of your time. So it's a pretty good maintenance cycle. I find that at least when I change the oil, I do it. Worst case scenario, I just change it every 100. So here we go. All right, in order to do this job, you have to set these holes up in this pattern. So the way this works is we're gonna call this the fill port. We're gonna call this the full port, and that's the drain. So you're gonna open the fill, you're gonna open the full. I call it full, and then open the drain. We're gonna drain it all out into this bucket. The whole point is when you fill it, you're gonna close this one back off. You're gonna fill through here until it spills out of here. Then you know you're full. That's good enough. Then you tighten it back down. What you need for this job, I found an oil pan, some gear oil. I got this right from the dealer because they're right up the street. This is gonna make it a hell of a lot easier on your time. You'll see some guys actually have the big flexible jugs with the big nozzles on the end. This works just the same. And you'll need an 8 mil Allen key in order to break that free. It's easier on a breaker bar. Ratchet would be fun, but these are on pretty tight. So here we go. I've broken all these free. You can see they're pretty easy to do. I can do them by hand. So I'm going to slowly unscrew the bottom one, let it start draining, and then pull the top ones so it gets a little bit of air in the system. Be careful when you take these off. I think there is an O-ring right there you want to pay attention to. And so you should be able to come out a lot easier after this. There we go. See? Just take all 3 out because you're going to need them out anyway. So there we go. I'll show you once I got. Hey, we got some bubbles. Kind of like looks like a puking face. I feel bad. All right, I prepped the bottle here by putting the top on, and I'm probably just going to let it sit for 10 or 15 minutes. Come back in a little while because it does take a while, and then I'll show you what I got later. All right, unfortunately, last night I had to stop working on this. The rain came in, and I didn't want to fill the tray up with water and oil at the same time. So as you can see, the dripping is now probably about 2 minutes apart. There was probably 5 or 6 times that amount of oil in there. I'll show you on the next one how much actual oil is in there. So now it's the next day. I've reopened all the holes and drained the rest of it out. So I'm going to clean this hole. I'm going to put the nut back in, or the drain plug, I guess, is really what it is. You can see even when I clean it, it doesn't start leaking back out. All right. All right, so theoretically, we don't need the tray anymore. However, let's put this back on. Let's get this tray out of the way. All right, I'm ready to fill her back up. In theory, what's going to happen, I've locked this one back off. I've actually tightened it down. I'm going to start squirting in here until it starts leaking out there. In theory, that should work. We'll see how it works. Hopefully, I can get it in the hole here. way I did this, I just cut part of the end off as it goes in and down. I checked the specs on it. I think it takes most of this this quart here. So I'm going to take a couple minutes to squeeze it out of this little bottle nipple here. I'll accelerate it and show you what I got. And there we go. So she is full. All right, that is the basic procedure for changing the oil on the final drive. I started with 1 quart, and I still have that much left. So it looks like it's actually only about half gone. So it doesn't take much more than half. All right, as with any drive or any oil change, be sure to just keep an eye on it. So in the next day or so, I'll be using it again quite a bit. I'll check it a couple times throughout the day to make sure nothing is cracked loose, nothing's leaking. Again, the hardest thing with this job is actually getting these bolts lined up properly so you can undo them and fill them like that. So there you go. All right, I moved the excavator forward a little bit to line up the bolts on this side because obviously they don't, they're not in sync between the two. Really good thing to see is if you open the fill port and then the check-in port, if you open the fill port first and then the check-in port and it starts to leak just a little bit, it means whoever did the job last filled it appropriately. So that's always a good sign. I also wanted to show you, that's about as much as you're gonna get out of it. It's about a half a quart, it looks like. So there you go. And anything you see there, that shine that's all bubbles. You can actually pop them with your finger, so don't get too worried. Obviously you want to check for metal filings or anything you might find, but this looks not too shabby. All right, that's it. Screw those plugs right back in, tighten them down, and that's pretty much the oil change on a final gear of a Kubota KX033 mini excavator. It took about 2/3 of a quart on either side, and give yourself a little bit of chance when you're breaking those free. I used a 1/2-inch breaker bar with an 8mm Allen key to do that. So thanks for tuning in to the Bearded Garage. Smash that like button, hit subscribe, and you'll see what we got coming up next. Thanks a lot.